Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I'm here to continue my series of Star Wars movie reviews, and this time we're going into a very, very special movie because I'll be reviewing my all-time favorite entry in the Star Wars series of films, that one being Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this movie did come out in 2005, and pretty much has the same returning cast from Attack of the Clones, with the three main leads being Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Natalie Portman as Senator Amidala. And this one takes place, I believe, 2 or 3 years after the events of Attack of the Clones when the Clone Wars started. And we begin with Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi returning from Coruscant, from the Outer Ring, and they pretty much have to save the Supreme Chancellor from being pretty much kidnapped from the CIS who've staged an attack on Coruscant. After they have successfully rescued Palpatine, it's really from that point on that Anakin begins or continues his trail down the dark path as he starts getting visions that his wife, Padme Amidala, may die in childbirth. And he now understands that the Jedi may not be able to help him. And so he turns to his old friend Palpatine, who reveals to him some secrets about himself and requires Anakin to do some really terrible things in order to achieve the power that he needs to hopefully save his wife. While on the other hand, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is now in the midst of this terrible situation, Order 66, and when he comes back to Coruscant with the aid of Master Yoda, it brings him in conflict with his old Padawan and probably closest friend, and which has to be probably one of the emotional and most intense battles I've ever seen in film. Now, as you can tell from my expression, I absolutely love this film. I have seen this film probably more times than any other Star Wars movie, and I would even go so far as to say this is probably one of my all-time favorite sequels of all time, and this certainly fits into the collection of top 10 movies I've seen more times than any other movie. Now, what can I say that's really great about this film? Number one, it still looks amazing. I mean, I'm surprised this movie is 10 years old, and yet the CGI and the visuals still look really great. I mean, I own 3 copies of this. I own it in DVD full screen, DVD widescreen, and I got it on Blu-ray. And it doesn't look like the movie that came out 10 years ago. So, yeah, it's surprising the CGI, despite people complaining that there's always too much CGI in these prequel movies, still holds up in my opinion. Also, another thing I really enjoyed about Revenge of the Sith amongst all other Star Wars films is that it took Star Wars to a very interesting place that, me being a fan of the Star Wars EU, I don't think we're ever going to see these movies go again. And it took it to a really, really dark place. One issue I've always had with Star Wars films is that they always had this need to want to keep it safe. You couldn't really go too dark, and you can't really show how dangerous the world of Star Wars is or how bad things really can get. But this really took it to a place we will never see it go again. And it really was the culmination of all events leading up to this movie. I mean, despite how you feel about episodes 1 and 2, you can kind of see how events were being played through episodes 1 and how it led to 2, and then it culminates in episode 3. And it's the execution of the grand plan that really makes this movie stand out to me amongst all Star Wars movies, because when things get really messed up, they get really messed up badly. I mean, you see Jedi being killed, you see the Republic fall. I mean, this is stuff that you would only read in the EU, and you don't really get in the original trilogies, in my opinion. Another thing I'll say is that the performances around the clock are actually a little bit better this time around. I know that Hayden Christensen kind of dropped the ball mostly in Attack of the Clones, but I really thought he came to his own in this movie, and he, for the most part, I believed him as a young Darth Vader. And trust me, when he actually becomes Darth Vader, I'm not joking. I'm not just saying this to praise the man, because he's really not that great of an actor. But trust me, you give him a mean look and don't give him any dialogue, and this dude is scary as hell. A lot more scarier than Darth Vader, though. I think Darth Vader is a little bit cool looking, in my opinion. I also really enjoyed Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi, like always. He's great in all these 3 films, and he's the one thing that's consistently great. But one character that really stands out to me is Ian McGregor's performance as Emperor Palpatine, because he really is one of the also secondary best characters throughout the prequels, and he really comes to his own and gets a lot more screen time this time around now that he's finally revealed as the Emperor Palpatine. And trust me, even though his performance is a little bit over the top, you can tell he was having a ball with this movie. Now, it's not to say this movie is perfect, because there are a number of scenes I think could have been taken out. I still can't really stand the dialogue between Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala. It's still kind of cheesy. However, it's kept to a minimum. And they do have some general scenes together that I thought were actually pretty important to the development of the movie itself. I thought the action around the clock was pretty awesome. The lightsaber battle at the end between Anakin and Obi-Wan is without question one of the probably the greatest lightsaber fight in all time. I know some people will say that the fight between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back is the best because of its meaning, but in this one, it has its meaning to me, because what that fight represents to me is you're seeing a friendship being absolutely destroyed. And for someone like me, this is really the only Star Wars movie I ever actually got emotional, because I could understand what was going on screen, and I had experienced something like that many times. And then when you have the final scene between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, I will admit, when I first saw this when I was 15, I was generally sad. Now, luckily, I was man enough to kind of hold back any tears, but it really was the only time throughout Star Wars I felt generally sad, and I had an emotional attachment. In fact, it's fair to say that Episode 3 was really the movie that made me fall in love with Star Wars and make me want to even learn more about the mythology. I have this film to thank for making me interested in the EU, which pretty much furthered my knowledge of Star Wars. Now my knowledge of Star Wars is not limited to just the movies. It goes even further than that. It goes into the video games, it goes into the books, it goes into the comic books. And I have this film to thank for it. Now again, it's not perfect and it does have its flaws, but they're kept to such a minimum level that I still enjoy it to this day, even 10 years after its initial release. If I had to give Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith a rating, there was no question in my mind it is going to get the highest rating I can give for a Star Wars film, in my opinion, and I'm going to give it an A-. It is definitely the best of the prequels. It's my all-time favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and there is nothing anyone can do to change that. And from what I'm not going to say anymore, I'm just going to say I have a feeling it is going to be a very, very long time before I see another Star Wars movie in theaters. If you like this movie review of mine, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check me in my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and may the Force be with you.